So I want to start off with this question. I like to ask every artist that comes on, this question, what's a song in your catalog? And maybe you guys can answer this individually. What's a song in your catalog that when you look back at now, you're just like, man, like I killed that, whether it's the writing, the singing, and it doesn't even have to be about chart success, just personally. What's a song that you look back at and you're just like, man, that's the one?
Yes. I'm telling you, so many. Hey, but this is Wingo, man. For me, that little take it home part on Let's Get Married, man. I'm thinking my brothers pushed me in the booth and said, Wing, take us home. I think, hey man, it just song, it blessed me, man, and it blessed our careers, man. And again, it's a staple. I mean, it's a staple now. So yeah.
I think for me, song, I would say I Don't Wanna. Because it was a song that we had sold that song to some other artists, to be honest with you. And JD got mad at us for selling it. And then once we got the opportunity to get it back, we changed some things on it, and we ended up, in my opinion, I like the way it came out even better. So for me, I Don't Wanna.
For me, I would have to say this song called Funny How on our first album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just the message of the song alone. I've always loved that song.
No doubt.
Yeah. Tom,
sad song right there.
It is. Tom, it's crazy, guys, because I just spoke to B. Cox probably about a couple of months ago. He was talking about I Don't Wanna, ended up going to Absolute, and I've heard their version too, and your version is like way better. But I always just found it crazy, like, because that ended up on the Hard album, and just looking back, like it fit that J.E. Heartbreak sound perfectly, and it makes sense now.
Yeah, it really was part of that group of songs.
Right.
Yeah.
When we had to tell Jermaine that we had sold the song, this is the only time I've seen him. This is the only time I've ever seen him cuss us out, like blatantly cuss us out, not beat around the bush.
Right.
He was like, dude, y'all sold this already.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
So you guys are joining us. You guys just had your podcast. It's cool to see you guys innovating, going into something new. Talk about the inspiration and what fans can expect, in the podcast you guys are doing.
I think one of the main inspirations is the fact that people seem to be so amazed at our natural bond. People get around us and they, we hear it all the time, like, I can't believe how y'all chemistry together and how we are four dudes who really do get along, and we don't really have no issues, as adults. We work most of our issues out as kids, and as adults, our chemistry, our bond is strong. So I think our main inspiration was just being able to show and give that to the world, weigh in on different topics, entertainment and outside of entertainment, and just give that whole thing to the world.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And it's entitled Views from the Edge. Views from the Edge podcast. So, y'all get ready. It's going to be crazy.
Man, it's crazy, Tom, because when I look back at Jagged Edge, like even early on, their vocals, I was just mentioning Kyle's falsetto, Wingo, always taking it to church, Brian and Brandon. We know what you guys do already. I'm always curious, when you guys first started as a group, like, of each other's vocal talents, like what stood out to you guys about each other and what made it work as a collective group? Because like when I look back, like I mentioned, it just seemed to work perfectly together.
I think one thing me and my brother always wanted, because like you said, we grew up knowing what we could do, but we wanted to have the most competent group. And I feel like, I love Jodeci, but it's Casey and JoJo. I love Boyz II Men, but it's predominantly Wanya and Sean. But so we always wanted to be a real quartet. People don't understand how well, people do understand at this point how well Wingo can sing, but you're right, most people don't understand how well Kyle can sing. So one thing to do is have a real balanced group. And I think when you go member for member off, I don't think there is a group that's got 4 lead singers like I believe that we do. You know what I mean? So that was one of our goals from the jump.
But what, like when we put this whole thing together, for me, the things that stood out to me about Wingo and Kyle's voices was that, like our voices, they have a texture to it. It's not thin. It's not. It's very full, and it has a very distinctive texture to it. And when you put those textures together in music, it's always something special. Always.
And I always like to revert back to the sports, analogy. Like, you know, like it's a team, man. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody plays their roles. You know what I'm saying? What basketball team you know has 5 point guards or 5? You feel what I'm saying? Like, you know, everybody has their own personal role, and you play your role to the fullest. You know what I mean? And you do your job. You know what I mean? You don't miss no assignments, or you don't get the trophy. You see what I'm saying? And we're all going for the same common goal, man. So ultimately, man, like I'm in a group with twins. I'm in a group with some awesome writers. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a group with different swags, different flavors. You know what I mean? So like, I mean, it's the best of both worlds for me, man. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one reason JD signed us. We were a self-contained group. He could put us in the studio and come out with a hit record. You know what I mean? He had to micromanage us. You know what I'm saying? So again, like, you know, it's awesome, man. I mean, it's been a fun ride, and we're gonna ride this thing to the wheel fall.
You know what's one of your guys' biggest achievements personally when I look back? Because we just put out an article. We look back at all the 90s groups, male and female. There's probably over 50, 60 groups. Right. Just about every single one besides Jagged Edge has either broken up or disbanded at some point. You know, and you guys made it. I mean, that's an achievement in itself. You guys mentioned earlier you worked out your problems as kids. But man, just to keep it together, that's an epic thing right there.
It is, man. I mean, you know, I think we talk about this all the time. You know, me and my brother, we both had kids at 18 years old. Right. And so when we were blessed with this opportunity to do this, we understood like this is how we feed our family. Yeah. So, you know, so what, he stole my hat or some, you know, the things that people bicker about. So what? We always looked at it like, you know, as long as we are the sole providers for our families, nothing else can really take us away from doing what we're supposed to do.
And we have to be together in order to be that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right. Love it.
No, Tom, while you were doing your article, you know what I realized, and Brian told me this before too, but as we look at the groups from the 90s, all of them really just lasted 2 or 3 albums and they were out. When we look at groups like H-Town, Jodeci, all of them really just, and Jagged Edge still going strong today, like that is an accomplishment.
Yeah, 10 albums.
And we midway through the 11th album, which is going to be a duet project, but
wow.
We about 6 songs deep, so
yeah, it's gonna be
crazy. I can't even think of them groups anymore.
And we got to talk about, you know, A Jagged Love Story, the double album that just came out last year. What I love about you guys, you've always done it your way. You haven't done what other people told you to. You followed your own path, stuck to it always through the decades. I love that, man. That's so honorable.
That, man. We appreciate y'all recognizing that.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Well, guys, let's take it back to the beginning because I think the beginning is really interesting here. Of course, you guys were almost signed by Mike Bivins. You guys were really close to that. Wingo, I know early on, I just spoke to Tim and Bob. You were part of the early process of 112. I mean, just look back at your guys' career from the early point. Did you guys even expect it to get to this point? And I mean, just reflect back on that early journey because that was a grind. It's not like today where you can blow up overnight through the internet. Like you guys actually had to grind, fall back, and have to climb back up over and over.
I mean, it's funny you said it. We just did an interview and we're talking about exactly that. How today it's a little easier to get your stuff out. Now it may be harder to become a celebrity, right? But in our day, it was harder to get the deal. You know, and for us, we were getting thrown deals left and right as kids. You know, we had deals on the table from Mike Bivins, from Dallas, from Mercury Records, from Rico Wade of Organized Notes. Coming at us left and right. So we always, and I say this about the Mike Bivins deal. One thing about the Mike Bivins deal was because we looked up to New Edition so hard, that deal that made us say, you know what, we definitely really can do this. If this dude want us, after we put out and 702 and you know ABC. On ABC and you know being what he was to BBD, we said if this dude wants us, then we really got something we can really do this.
No doubt.
And Kyle, you just talked to Jermaine Dupri in an interview and about Jagged Edge's first album. I mean, that was pretty interesting what he told us about putting out Jagged's first album.
What did he say?
I mean, we were talking about just how, you know, when we look at some of your peers like 112 and Drew Hill, they blew up right away. It took you guys a little longer to do so. And Jermaine, he faulted himself for that. And he just said he didn't get the formula down right away. He didn't get the up tempos down. But once he figured out that Jagged Edge, their sweet spot was the ballads, then you guys were off and running. So it's just amazing to see. Did you guys know that? Did you guys know that was the formula?
Yes. Well, we did. We told him that from the jump, and we used to have arguments about. He would tell us all the time. No, right? He would say, "No one y'all don't have a sound," which we disagree with. And he would say,
"I can't never heard of y'all. Right? You ain't got no sound.
Y'all can't do an album full of slow song." We'd be like, "Shit, why not?" That. So, to his credit, we're glad that he did make us stick in there with some of the fast songs, but we always felt like people was gonna love our ballads, and that's what we came in the door that way.
Wow. Yeah. Tom, let's talk about the debut for Jagged Edge, because this is an album we both love. Obviously, you guys had bigger albums later on, but Tom, just talk about some of those cuts that you love. The Rest of Our Lives is my favorite.
That album front to back is slept on at this point.
I mean, yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Tell us what you was going to say.
No, I was just going to say that album to me is slept on because everyone knows J.E. Heartbreak, being a classic. But the first album is just as good, in my opinion. The ballads it was definitely ballad heavy. But you mentioned it's Funny How being one of those. I love Wednesday Lover, the cover you guys did. Gotta Be, that's just a truly heartfelt song. I mean, front to back, you can still put this on, and it's some of your best work. So I feel like it got overlooked over the years.
Yes, I agree with you, bro. I agree. I think the climate was just so heavy with groups. And I think Jermaine thought that the formula was to, heat them up with a fast record and then hit them with a slow record. But I think by that time the public had seen it so many times, and it was like, what's going to be different about these guys?
Right.
And when we dropped that Gotta Be,
it was over.
Like, he's like, write this.
And I think too, those fast songs, though they were good songs on that first album, they did showcase what our sound was. They more showcased the way Jermaine structured his beats, if you will. Writing on them, though we wrote them, we were still being led by what Jermaine wanted us to do. But when it came to those ballads, we went and did what we wanted to do. You know what I mean? And they kind of structured the sound track-wise around what we, like Gotta Be, we sang to them a cappella. And they structured the music around that. Right. And they had what a few songs was at that time. So I feel like with our ballads, they gave us a chance to let us do us, and they came around and accompanied that. Yeah, true.
Yeah. I'm always curious about your guys' formula of, Brandon and Bryan taking the lead, Wingo and Kyle, you guys are in the back, but you guys sometimes get a chance to shine as well, like Rest of Our Lives, you guys killed that one. Like, how did you guys come up with that formula? Because it ended up working. Like, how did you guys determine that?
Mama Casey's bed. We sat and wrote that on Mama Casey's bed. I mean, like, literally.
I think, but he mean, how do we come up with the formula? We're going to sing when everybody can sing. We never decided. I think Jermaine positioned it that way. And I think, like with anybody, once you have success, you want to stick to the keys to success.
Because it's funny, because even though we were writing the songs, Jermaine was still coming and say, well, I think Brandon might sound better on that part. Even though it was us writing. I might have wrote the verse. He said, well, that's Brandon. Or Brandon might be, hey, that should be Bryan. So that's kind of how it worked. As well as I think, when it comes to Wingo and Kyle, this is no diss to them, but me and Brandon, we work so much that it's almost impossible for anybody to do as much as us. Right. Even if they come every day, we'll still find another 2 or 3 days where ain't nobody but us. You know what I mean? So I think just out of sheer amount of times that we're in the studio is partly how it happened as well.
No doubt.
Tom, can we give Kyle some love for his falsetto? Because I was telling the guys before we started this, like, he has one of the most underrated falsettos. What was your reaction, Tom, when you heard Rest of Our Lives and Kyle was just killing it there?
It's a shame because I wish Kyle was here to clarify, because sometimes we hear, what does he even do in the group? People don't really understand, but people don't pay attention. People don't understand the textures of the vocals on the records, understand who's singing. We need to give him more credit.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
That's something we hate. I mean, like I said, we structured this group from 4 individuals who could sing. When we first started this group, it was 6 of us. Because as kids, Take 6 was a big gospel group. And every dudes could really blow. So we structured our group the same way. Like, if you was going to be in this group, you had to be able to sing. And Kyle is no exception.
Right. Exactly.
Kyle will always tell you that I'm a background singer, and that's by choice.
Right.
It's not he can't sing. He doesn't. He's just never he's never basked in the spotlight in that way.
Right.
I think he'd rather make his presence felt in other ways.
And I think too, like even when we were young doing talent shows, every individual one of us would sing a lead.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, first couple of tours, we would do this guy song on Let's Chill. And Kyle used to sing that whole song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's always been a really talented singer, but he prefers, like my brother said, to do the wild cow thing in the background.
Again, it's a team. Everybody can't write with the same pen. You know what I mean? Like it's only one verse. It's only two verses.
Right.
You know
Only one ball.
It's only one hook. It's only one ball. You know what I'm saying? So you play your role, man, and we all win together. You know, and that's what a brotherhood is about. You know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So now we told you how much we love the debut, but man, the J.E. Heartbreak album. When I tell you personally, that's probably one of my favorite albums of all time, just because of the fact that there's no skips. And I'm a tough critic. You know, there's not many albums for me in my life, probably about 10, where there's no skips on an album. That's one of them for me.
Oh, there you go. Hey, the top,
Appreciate that.
It's a masterpiece. I mean, I don't know if you guys realize that, but that body of work with B. Cox and JD came together to do for you guys and some of the other producers. The songwriting's on point. I mean, it's just flawless.
Tom,
I love it.
Tom, we got to talk about the intro.
Oh man, the intro. One of the best intros of all time right there.
The thing about that intro was it was a full song.
It was
a full song.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. And JD felt like the sentiment of the song had been captured on the album. But when it got to the bridge, he felt like, now this part, when you're talking about, you know, when you really get into the pain of that record and that bridge, he felt like that part would be big to start off the album. So he took the beat off, just left the pianos, and that was really the bridge of the song called Heartbreak.
Wow. Where is that? Where's the full version of that? We still got to hear that.
Brian Cox got it somewhere. Brian Cox got it somewhere.
You know, he got
It was also interesting about that album how Keys to the Range was the first single, and then He Can't Love You, Let's Get Married and Promise, obviously, which were all huge songs. I was always wondering what was the thought process with that one being first.
It was a movie soundtrack. They Jermaine had been playing some songs for the I forgot who was over that soundtrack, but he had been playing some songs. They heard that song and they wanted it on the soundtrack, even though it was on the album. So we looked at it like, hey, let's let them pay for the video. Right. That's why that was the first song.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Now, I mean, so many great songs on that album. True Man is my favorite, but I got to ask you guys this. Tom, I'll start with you. What's the better version of the song, Let's Get Married or the remix? It's two different songs, but which one are you rocking with?
Oh man, it's almost like two different songs, and that's to me the beauty of JD's remixing. So I love both versions separately. I enjoy them separately. I can't choose.
Both versions in concert.
no doubt.
Yeah.
You gotta understand. One song gets you to the wedding. The other song is the reception.
Plus the song went to #1 twice.
Right.
So you gotta play both of them.
No.
I got to mention the song "What You're Trying to Do." Now that's one of my favorites right there.
Like all the ballads on that album, man. Like you said, like even for us, even though we made them, those are some incredible records.
I'm gonna tell you something too that always strikes me as a little crazy is that today, if we would have dropped that album, we could have shot 12 videos. But back then, you would call hot that the label was ready to move to the next thing instead of fully capitalizing on some of the other singles that was left on that album. But back then, the labels would always speak about this thing called oversaturation.
Right.
So, because I always hated that.
Columbia love that word. You gotta
in the world. People love you, give them what they want.
Force feed.
And people were telling us all the time, they wanted a single for what you're trying to do. They wanted a single for healing. That's what people wanted. They would refuse to give it to them. But today, you can give every song on the album if you wanted to.
And the videos with 200,000 in.
Exactly.
That's wild.
Well, let's bring it up to date then, guys. We covered the two albums here, and we got to do this again soon, but just fill us in on what you guys are working on. Obviously, we saw you with Diddy on Instagram. He showed you guys a lot of love. We love seeing that because you guys deserve it, but you got the new music, you got podcasts. What's coming up?
Well, we definitely are helping out on Diddy's album. He's got an R&B album he want to put out.
No doubt.
But like the video y'all saw, like we literally probably haven't seen Diddy in about 6, 7, 8 years. I'm not even sure how long.
Right.
So like we were like that was real. Like that was our first time seeing each other in a long time. And the love he showed us, man, it's like sometimes like you know that your peers have a certain respect for you, but when they put it out there like that, it's just it's love.
And I'll say the thing too, and this is not to knock anybody, it's not to really throw a shot at JD, but I know some people gonna take it that way. But the way he showed us that love, you would have thought he was the person that signed us and put us out. You know, him how much he missed our voices and the sound of our voices and the way we write songs. You know, you would have thought we was on Bad Boy the way he showed us it, and that's that. You know, between you and I, whoever's listening, we don't get that from JD too often. You know what I mean? But there's no issue with us and JD, so I don't want to say that. But the relationship that we have with JD at times, it's like a big brother, little brother. How when you don't show your little brother how much you love him unless he get hurt or something.
No, it's funny, Brian. I spoke to JD about a month ago about this, and he was telling us about the dilemma that you guys have with JD. You know, sometimes, he told us you guys don't feel like you guys get the attention from him that maybe he does with the Ushers or the Mariahs. But he told me, like, he just loves your guys' work. He loves that you guys are self-contained, that you guys can do it all on your own. So it's just an interesting dynamic there.
It is. I think he's always showed us that he respects our game in terms of the music we make. But I think, we've also seen how capable JD is when he's hands-on and when he's really behind stuff.
Exactly.
And
that's what it is. Right.
We have put out albums where I felt like he was that type of energy for us, but it wasn't there every time, let's put it like that.
JD still ain't gave us our so Del pieces yet, so so Del pieces. Wow, everybody been got it. Jagged Edge. All right. Well, we love you anyway,
All right, Tom, we got to wrap this up. Is there anything you want to tell JE? Just legendary career, and they're still going, man.
No, thank you guys so much for joining us for this interview. We appreciate you guys. We always got your back. Excited to hear this new podcast. Excited to hear all the music you got coming out. Still rocking with a Jagged Love Story. Man, we always here to support. We appreciate you guys.
Thank y'all too, man. I be seeing y'all.
Look out for album number 11.
I see the support all the time, man. I'm humbled by it, man. Thank y'all, bro.
Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you guys.